All right, all right, all right. Welcome to the Tuesday night Principal Cairo broadcast from DE and Band of Brothers. I'm Dr. Brian Moriarty, your esteemed MC for tonight's exciting call with Dr. Joey Parpala. But before we get to Joey, let's get to some exciting announcements. And it doesn't get more exciting than this weekend. We've got the DE Intensive at Life University, March 7th, Saturday, 10 to 7. There's a lunch in the middle there. You've got all these world-class speakers that are going to be there. You don't want to miss it. The students are going to be there being poured into. You can still get in on this if you can get to Life University. Go to lifede.com to register. We'd love to have you for the DE Intensive back at Life University. And then we've got an upcoming DE in Clearwater Beach, right on the beach. Beautiful hotel right on the Gulf of Mexico. Room block ends March 26th. That's about 3 weeks out. So you might want to get your rooms sooner than later. Go to lifede.com to register for that event. Get your room block. You don't want to miss that. The weather at the end of April is beautiful. It's sunny. Everybody's going to be hanging by the pool, learning about the principal, and it's going to be a great one. I got people from my team coming to that one, too. You won't want to miss that. Upcoming DEs, we got April 16th through the 19th in Clearwater, right on the beach. Then we're back in Atlanta for July at the Atlanta Marriott Perimeter Center. And then fall, the week before Halloween, same place, Atlanta. Go to lifede.com to register for any of these exciting events and get with your Connect groups. If you're not already in a group, contact Kat. We'll get you in a group. We got purple, orange, blue, and yellow. What's your team color? Hopefully you're connecting with your fellow color people in between DEs, staying fresh, answering any questions, and staying connected. That's why we got the Connect groups. Love that concept. So anyway, back, man, it's been a day today. I was just telling our speaker and Daniela, pretty run down today. But, when that fire, burns, starting to burn out there after a long day of serving and meetings, a school board meeting, I had 80 million things. I've been going since about 7 a.m. this morning. But when you're feeling tired and burnt out, that's where DE is there for you, because you can relight that fire and be ready to rock and roll and serve the masses tomorrow. And that's why we have these Tuesday night calls. Every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, we get to hear from a different speaker, and it really just relights that fire and keeps that fire going so you can just dominate life, your practice, your marriage, your kids. My kid's playing baseball right now, and man, it's hard to keep up with that, but it's a blessing. God has blessed us with a lot of great things, and that's why life's so exciting. But for tonight's speaker, man, I'm so excited because I know this guy. He's one of my favorites at DE. Doesn't speak every single time, but when he does, he pours just an incredible message, just a raw, unfiltered message of just truth and principle. And I sincerely look up to him. He's got a great wife, 3 amazing kids, great practice, True North Spinal Care, and he's a 2012 graduate of Northwestern. Maybe one of the best things to ever come out of Northwestern. We'll go with that. So from Duluth, Minnesota, guys, let's give it up for Dr. Joe Parpala. Take it away, Joey. I love and appreciate you.
Thanks, Brian. And you were kind of there for my DE roots back in 2017 or 18 in Kansas City. And the intensive coming up this weekend, don't ever underestimate the power that comes out of those little meetings, because it was the kind of the thing that grabbed a hold of me when I was kind of waffling between different things, and I didn't really necessarily have direction in chiropractic. I didn't have a chiropractic family. I talk about I didn't really need something at that point. I had a great practice and a great family and I was in a great spot. I just needed friendship and community. And it started there at a Kansas City DE that Andy Harding put together. And, Andy is one of my good friends today. I'll talk to him at 7:00 tomorrow morning Central. We do it every week. And the relationships are just so founded in principle, truth. We pray together. We love on each other. We check in with each other. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that today too. This is my 13th year in practice. And, I look back and what a ride. Coming out of Northwestern, I didn't have as much as I thought I had. I had great board scores, and I had a wife at the time. Britta, still my wife. It's not like I had a different wife, but I had so little of what I thought I had. I thought I had the preparations to become a chiropractor in itself, and I was lacking so much, including principle, technique, certainty, authority, the things truly that I learned at DE. But I kind of had this cool way of coming back into it, and it was through a friend's dad who became my mentor. And when I was in chiropractic school, we weren't learning upper cervical. We didn't learn toggle at Northwestern. You are literally doing prostate exams on real people. The guy I did mine on was named Gary. I'll never forget it. And it's just like one of those, things that just like, what are we doing here? And then you look back now and it's like, well, the frustration and the power, the passion, the things that I needed came out of not getting something. So then I needed it even more, and I knew I needed it. And that's how I found DE ultimately. And what a ride it's been, coming up on 8 years this year with the DE crew. I didn't have the principle, but I found it through relationships and through this friend's dad, Dr. Kerry Johnson, who kind of scooped me up, mentored me. I ended up graduating and decided that I was going to work with him. And the things that I saw in his office were profound, and they were founded upon his philosophy, which he did not go to DE, but he said, this crap works, and that's my philosophy. And so it was based on certainty, and I loved that because I just hadn't seen anything really in chiropractic that worked up until that point. This man had a vision. And so early on, he shared with me that the vision that he had for chiropractic, upper cervically speaking, is that there would be 100 chiropractors doing like-minded, similar work and technique throughout the state of Minnesota, because we're isolated here as far as where we have principled chiropractors and how they're adjusting people. We have to re-educate every single patient if they've been to a chiropractor, like many of you probably do too, that it's not physical therapy. 90-some% of the chiropractors in the state are coming out of a school that gave the COVID vaccine on campus, and that spend more time in, PT modalities than they did teaching the adjustment and the art of the adjustment and the education. This man, Dr. Kerry Johnson, knew that the only way that his vision was going to come to fruition was to multiply himself. And so essentially he gave him of himself through teaching. And he would teach. He finally got into the school. He started teaching in the school and started recruiting students to come work in his office. And this last July, he passed away unexpectedly. And he was on that call every Wednesday morning with Dr. Andy and myself. And he was a larger than life person, and he gave of himself. He gave to the profession. He gave back to the students. One of the most generous people that I've ever met. I never paid for a meal, and we went to many. Larger than life man, and he's in heaven. He died unexpectedly on a fishing trip with one of my close friends, Matt, his son, on a fishing trip in Canada. And it was just like this traumatic thing that took place. And this is about the darkest it's going to be. So I'm sorry. This gets a little emotional for me just because I'm so connected with this family. But after he was gone, they had to try to figure out how to do something with this practice that they had 5 associate chiropractors in. So just heads up, if you're not thinking succession planning to what happens if you die at some point, which we're all gonna, at least maybe start at least pondering that and getting some things down on paper and potentially with an attorney, because his poor wife has been left with quite a burden just because they weren't quite there yet. And 64 is too young to pass, but probably should have been ready for something at that point. I've chose so many relationships in my life. Some were easier to choose than others. And sometimes these relationships were ones that I knew that I was going to be getting something more out of. And sometimes they were going to be more relationships that I was going to be, giving back to somebody. And one of the most important things through me becoming a chiropractor now at this stage of my life, right? I've been in practice long enough where I still have hair. I do have some grays, but I'm not bald and I'm not totally gray yet. So I'm just kind of in the middle. And I've had enough to get my feet wet, but I'm not truly a veteran at this point. And I choose to be a learner. I want to be a lifetime learner. I want accountability. I want people to be able to speak into my life when there's something that they see that I wouldn't see myself. Dr. Carey told me it's really easy to agree with yourself. And I've always remembered that because I've talked myself into a lot of really good ideas. Some of the best wisdom that I've ever had to talk myself out of those same ideas comes through my marriage and my amazing wife, Britta. I've chose mentorship almost my entire life, from the time I played sports in high school to going to the military and coming out of that and going into college. And I've always had mentorship. I've always had people that I saw were in a part of life that I wanted to be in someday. And so I've never steered away from that. And I share that because sometimes it can be too sensitive for people to desire mentorship, or they look at themselves as having an issue or a problem. To get to that point, I would just say, do it. We hired Dr. Cordero last year, and I worked with him for about 6 months. And he ended up doing a disc profile for every staff member on our team. We worked diligently to understand who each person was, where they should be, and how they should be there. We set foundations for vision, and we worked on trainings. We implemented a number of different small things that had a huge impact on our trajectory for our practice. In fact, I don't know that we'd be sitting here today in such comfort after what we went through it during the firestorm of the end of 2025. And I'll explain that in just a little bit if you missed the Parade of Stars at the last DE. But I'm so thankful for people like Ed Cordero. I hired Steve Judson for a period of time in my life, and it was incredible during a period of my life where I needed wisdom on acquiring properties and real estate. I didn't know anything about that side of things. And we ended up buying into our building, and that went really well. We doubled our square footage at that time too. And he helped navigate some things as far as, just bouncing ideas off for layout and, how to make certain things happen, and just like the kick in the pants to just do it and not wait anymore. And, we have people even in the DE room that are so accessible and so willing to help, regardless of whether you want to hire them for their service or not. But I'll tell you what, the value that I have got through mentorship, through the life that I've lived, I'll never be maybe sitting in this place today without some of the wisdom in the characters of the people that have come around me and surrounded me and saw the best in me when I didn't necessarily see it myself. So the last DE, I came home from the last DE and I took O'Halloran's pricing sheet and I put our logo on it. And then we implemented that and it tanked our practice. I'm just messing. We have to be authentic with how we do things. And what a a humble way to go through learning from Dr. O'Halloran and Dr. Lieberman, the last DE, just listening to the nuts and bolts of how they do things and what nuggets came out of that. Loved it. I wanted, just in my notes, it's like talk about marriage. The marriage part of our relationships at home is such a huge part of going to work every day. When that is right and you are aligned with each other and with God, it just seems like the opportunities are endless. The dreams are bigger than ever. When things are chaotic and not right because our attention gets off, it just seems like everything's off. So prioritizing that in a busy life can be difficult, but I can't just say enough lately. In our last few months, we got rattled big time and kind of took the eye off the ball a bit, and it just didn't go well. So we're focused again, and this last DE was huge for us. And I'll explain that in just a minute here too. But we just want to make sure that we're taking time for our spouses, especially like many of the wives that are behind the chiropractors, or the husbands that are behind the wives. They do so much to support the mission that we have in the office, and so many times they just don't get enough credit. The last DE, what you aren't changing, you choose. I don't remember who it was. I wrote it down, and I think about that often. So if we're not happy with something in our life or in our practice, you're just choosing it to stay that way if you're not putting more effort on changing it. And then when you start celebrating wins, I'm pretty sure this was a waste. When you start celebrating wins, you'll plateau. And so many times it's like you set a goal, you focus on the goal, you hit the goal, and all of a sudden then you drip back down. And it's like the momentum that we have in our practices, it's alive. And that vitality moves through our stats. It's a reflection, but we got to be careful that we're not focusing on the wrong thing or the right thing. I'll tell you, I'll just kind of jump into it. The last DE I shared at the Parade of Stars. So of course, it's the time I try to dip out just in case I had something on my heart, because I know that I'm going to have to share it. But Paula got me. I made eye contact with her way too soon, and I couldn't get out of there. So I got the first mic, and I talked about this last fall. Our youngest daughter, Annika, was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and she was really sick, and we didn't know what was going on with her. You're kind of in denial, like, man, she is going to the bathroom a lot, she's drinking a lot of water, but you just don't want it to be real, and you learn these different signs in school, just thinking that there's no possible way. Well, it was real, and by the time we faced reality, her heart rate was twice what it should have been. Her breath was just at the very top of her lungs. And, she was totally washed out. She had no color in her face. Her triglycerides, for a normal man that needs to make some health changes, might be 150 to 200. And hers were in like the 4,000 range. Like, she was really sick. And at first, because this is just a few months after my friend Carrie died, at first it was like this huge blow of a loss, and it was all grief. And don't get me wrong, like, it's super tough. We didn't sleep this last Saturday night because things didn't go right. It's a challenge for sure. However, the way I'm really focusing on looking at it right now just comes from a little different place. In the hospital, she's on this ICU floor with amazing nurses, and they truly helped her. They put their heart into their work. And the cool thing is, my little Annika brought DE and the love that she was raised with. She brought that to them. And so DE ended up in the hospital, and all of a sudden she was the patient that everybody wanted. And, even all the nurses that weren't with her that day, maybe they were all stopping in. She was just like this little infectious, amazing, smiley kid. And the joy emanated from her was incredible. And I just wanted to read a quick verse out of the book of James for those of you that are Christian and are okay with this. This brought me a lot of comfort here these last 2 weeks. I just kind of stumbled upon it. I used to read James a lot because there's a lot of like just tough lessons in there. Who is, James is Jesus' little brother, became a follower of his brother essentially after he was gone. But it's James chapter 1, verse 2. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. Let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. So I was looking at this as like this big challenge and a trial, of course. But now I'm looking at this as such an opportunity for growth within my family and the perseverance that our family can gain from tapping into our faith and truly believing in this message that Jesus gave us. And I'm just not in the same place as I was before. In fact, when Annika was in the ICU, after 3 days, she was brought, or Annika had to go to the bathroom. Britta brought her into the bathroom. She pushes her little IV cart with all the bags on it into the bathroom. And after days of tears and grieving, Annika looked up at Britta because we were just so teary, like it was just so devastating. And Annika looked at her in the eyes and said, "Hey, Mom, you can stop crying. I'm going to be okay." That moment, that was God's message for us through the mouth of the little girl that was sick. And we believed her. And we believed God. And now looking back a few months later, she is going to be fine. She did a whole basketball season. You would never know that she has this condition or disease if you didn't see a little tube hanging out of her pocket. She can do more push-ups than her 2 older sisters. She is so happy. She is so smart. She is abundant, and she is DE. So the last DE, I came with some heavy luggage. And I also brought my entire team and my wife, Britta, and my daughter, Annika, who had that struggle these last few months. And I decided for the first time to start jotting notes down in those little white cards in the back. And I'd started dumping them into that big box that Chris brings. And I had to have faith that writing down something on those cards and putting them in that box was going to take away this burden that I had been carrying. But I can honestly say that I became more free after I left DE. Like, this all happened in the winter, in the fall and into the winter. It's a really dark season in Minnesota. We have short days. They're cold. We still have 3 feet of ice on the lake that we live on. We could drive trucks out there for another month. It can be tough. But today was March, and it was sunny, and it was 44 degrees, and the girls were out in the driveway throwing the softball around, and it's like spring is coming. And I just got to say, like, the whole season thing, I can't wait to get back to the office tomorrow. Like, I just know that there's opportunity, and I know that I'm being led by the right principles, the right way, the right spirit. God has me so pinned, and I just have to be in tune. So, in closing tonight, just a couple of key points in case you're one that likes like a closing, which I'm not, but some of you are. You never know who God may use in your life to convey the message, but don't miss the wisdom that they're there to share. Don't forget to identify trials as opportunities for perseverance and growth in our faith. And then just to speak into the relationships from DE, there are people at DE all around you that see the highest potential within you. And we don't know you, but we know that that potential exists. I had a harder time making a bunch of friends at DE purely because I'm not super extroverted. But I found my group at DE, and I'm so thankful for their friendship. Please reach out to me or connect with others, even if you don't need something, but just if you're trying to gain a friendship, just like introduce yourself. We want to know you, and we want to know your struggles. We want to celebrate with you. I know the color groups. I don't know if that's going well or not, but I know that was the intention of it. My phone number is 218-310-9053. Please call and text me if you need anything. And then the last thing that I want to share is, it has been so obvious to me in these last few months that DE is not a conference or a seminar. This thing it's a mission, and it's a life's mission. From 1964, I think, or 5, something like that. But this thing is a legacy, and we're so thankful to be a part of it, but there's so much work to do. There's so many people that need that room, way more than any of us. And I gladly give up my seat, but they're not taking it. We need to bring people to DE, introduce them to the lasting purpose. Thank you for letting me share with you tonight. I love and appreciate you.
Joe, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
The word I think of when I hear you speak is authentic. You are just truly authentic, and you are a great storyteller, and I love listening to your message, and it was really inspiring. And I was taking some notes and texting my wife and saying, honey, let's go do this, do this, do this, do this. So I'm disprofiling everybody tomorrow morning. I'll tell you that. I've been a little slacking with that. Got some new staff, and time to get back in there. But dude, that was a great message, and obviously prayers continue for your daughter, and hope that gets better. And we're really excited to see you at DE, my man.
Thanks so much, Brian.
That closes it out for our Tuesday night Principled Chiro broadcast. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Love and appreciate you. Have a great week, guys. God bless.